What happens when a Hollywood legend known for thunderous truth-telling steps onto a morning show famous for polite applause and decides he's done playing nice? What happens when decades of bottled frustration collide with live television, bright studio lights, and a host who refuses to back down? What you're about to witness isn't just an interview. It's a reckoning. And if you love raw, unfiltered moments like this, subscribe to The Truth Narrator right now, hit like, and drop a comment. Because stories like this don't whisper, they explode. The studio air feels different the moment Samuel L. Jackson walks out. There's applause, loud and eager, the kind reserved for icons. He smiles, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes. Those eyes have seen too much: Hollywood politics, erased voices, carefully worded questions that cut deeper than they seem. He adjusts his jacket as he takes his seat, nodding politely toward Whoopi Goldberg. She smiles back, warm and familiar, a veteran of this table, a woman who's navigated storms of her own. To the audience, it looks like respect. To anyone paying close attention, it's a standoff disguised as civility. The opening pleasantries glide by smoothly. Laughter lands where it's supposed to. A joke about his latest film earns applause. But beneath the surface, something is tightening. Samuel's fingers tap once against the armrest. His jaw sets. He's listening more than he's talking, and that's always the warning sign. Whoopi leans forward, her voice calm, practiced. You've always been outspoken, Sam. Some people say you don't hold back, even when it makes folks uncomfortable. He chuckles softly. Truth usually does that. The audience laughs, but the laugh fades quickly. There's an edge now, a current humming between the chairs. Whoopi continues. But there are those who feel your comments lately, about the industry, about media, about who gets heard, cross a line. That maybe they divide more than they help. Samuel's eyes lock on hers. The smile disappears entirely. For a split second, the studio is silent enough to hear a breath catch in the front row. Whose line? He asks quietly. Whoopi tilts her head. The line where conversation turns into confrontation. Samuel leans forward now, elbows on knees. Conversation without confrontation is just comfort. And comfort's real nice for people who've always had a seat at the table. A murmur ripples through the audience. Someone claps once, then stops, unsure if it's allowed. Whoopi's expression tightens, just slightly. This table's about discussion, Sam. Not accusations. He nods slowly. Then let's discuss why certain truths only become accusations when the wrong person says them. The cameras zoom in. Producers exchange glances off stage. This isn't in the rundown. Whoopi exhales. Are you saying this show silences people? Samuel's laugh is sharp, humorless. I'm saying silence doesn't always look like silence. Sometimes it looks like a smile and a segue. The audience reacts, gasps, whispers, a low wave of tension rolling across the studio seats. Whoopi straightens her posture. She's been challenged on air before, but there's something different about this. This isn't a viral clip in the making. This is personal. You know that's not fair, she says. We give people space to speak. Do you? Samuel fires back. Or do you give them space until they say something that makes the room nervous? The words hang heavy. Someone in the crowd says oof under their breath. Another laughs nervously. Whoopi's voice hardens. Careful, Sam. He nods, eyes never leaving hers. Been careful my whole life. That's the problem. There it is. The shift. The moment the interview stops pretending to be polite and starts telling the truth. Samuel's voice grows steadier, deeper, carrying decades of frustration. I've watched narratives get shaped in rooms I wasn't invited into. I've watched people praised for bravery when they echo what's already safe. And I've watched others get labeled difficult for saying the same thing louder. Whoopi responds quickly. This isn't about volume. No, he says, it's about permission. The audience erupts, applause this time, real and uncontrolled. Whoopi raises a hand, trying to regain order, but the energy has already slipped past her. You came here to promote a movie, she says. Not to put the show on trial. Samuel leans back, crossing his arms. Funny thing about truth. It shows up whether you invite it or not. For a brief moment, they stare at each other. Two giants of culture, two survivors of an industry that eats its own, locked in a gaze that feels less like hostility and more like unresolved history. Whoopi softens just a touch. You know I respect you. I know, Samuel replies. That's why this matters. The studio feels smaller now, like the walls have moved in to listen. The audience senses it too. This isn't scripted outrage. This is something raw, something unfinished. Whoopi glances at the cue cards, then back at him. So what do you want, Sam? He pauses, long enough to make everyone lean in. I want honesty that doesn't flinch. I want conversations that don't end when they get uncomfortable. And I want people to stop pretending neutrality isn't a choice. Silence again, thicker this time, the kind that makes producers sweat. Whoopi nods slowly, choosing her next words with care. Then let's keep talking. But don't paint us as the enemy. Samuel's eyes soften, just slightly. Then don't be afraid of the fire. The audience breaks into applause, louder, longer, divided between awe and shock. The cameras pull back, capturing the entire table, the crowd, the moment hanging in the air like a spark waiting to fall. And as the host prepares to transition, as the music almost cues in, one thing is clear. This clash is far from over. What started as an interview has become a confrontation that's only just begun, and the next words spoken could either heal the room or burn it down completely. The applause fades, but the tension doesn't. It lingers in the studio like smoke after a sudden flame, curling into every corner, settling into every breath. The band doesn't play yet. No one rushes to commercial. Even the cameras seem hesitant, as if they know pulling away now would be a mistake. Samuel L. Jackson sits back in his chair, but the fire in his eyes hasn't dimmed. If anything, it's sharper, more focused. Whoopi adjusts her glasses, buying herself a second. She's not rattled easily. Decades on this stage have taught her how to ride waves like this, how to let the storm pass without capsizing the boat. But this storm isn't passing. It's staring right at her. You're asking for something big, she says carefully. And you're asking it on a show watched by millions who already feel like everything is a fight. Samuel nods. Because it is a fight, just not the kind folks like to admit. A co-host shifts in her seat, trying to interject, but Whoopi raises a hand. Not yet. This is between them now. The audience senses it too. You can see it in the way they lean forward, the way phones twitch and lapse, ready to record even though they're told not to. Whoopi turns fully toward him. Do you think I haven't fought? Do you think I don't understand what it costs to speak? Samuel's voice lowers. I know you fought. That's why this hurts more than if it was anyone else. The words land harder than shouting ever could. A ripple moves through the crowd, soft gasps, murmurs of recognition. Whoopi blinks just once. For a fraction of a second, the host disappears and the woman behind her shows through. Hurt, she repeats. Samuel leans forward again. Yeah, hurt. Because when people like us stop pushing, it sends a message. It tells the next generation to sit down, to soften the edges, to make themselves easier to digest. One of the co-hosts finally speaks up, her voice tentative. Sam, are you saying we're complicit? He turns to her, not unkindly. I'm saying silence has accomplices. The studio reacts instantly, half applause, half stunned quiet. A producer can be seen signaling wildly from the side, but no one is looking anymore. This moment has its own gravity. Whoopi exhales slowly. You're painting this as black and white. It's not. Samuel shakes his head. No, it's gray. And gray is where accountability goes to hide. A few audience members stand, clapping. Others remain seated, arms crossed, conflicted. The divide is visible, almost physical, cutting the room down the middle. Whoopi's tone sharpens. So what, you come on here to lecture us? To scold people who've been doing this work for years. Samuel's voice rises just enough to crack the calm. I came here expecting questions about a movie. I stayed because the questions became something else. What's something else? She challenges. Permission, he answers instantly. Permission to decide what's acceptable truth. The crowd reacts again, louder this time. Whoopi looks out at them, then back at him. You think I control that? I think you influence it, Samuel says. And influence comes with responsibility. The words hang there, heavy and undeniable. Whoopi sits back, folding her arms. For the first time, there's defensiveness in her posture. You don't know what conversations happen behind this table. Samuel meets her gaze. You're right. And that's the problem. A beat. 2 beats. The silence stretches until it's almost painful. One of the co-hosts tries again, nervously laughing. Well, this is passionate. Samuel doesn't look away from Whoopi. Passion is what people call anger when it comes from people they don't want to hear. The audience erupts, this time with a mix of cheers and audible disagreement. A man in the back shakes his head. A woman near the front wipes at her eyes. This isn't entertainment anymore. It's exposure. Whoopi leans forward again, voice firm. Let me ask you something, Sam. Do you believe there's any room for grace in what you're saying? He pauses, longer than before. The cameras zoom in, catching the flicker of something vulnerable crossing his face. Grace comes after honesty. Not instead of it. Whoopi's jaw tightens. And who decides when honesty turns into harm? Samuel answers quietly. The people harmed long before the words were spoken. That's when the audience truly explodes. Applause, whistles, shouted, "That's right," echo through the studio. The energy is no longer contained. It spills over, chaotic and alive. Whoopi raises her voice to be heard. "You're assuming intent." "No," Samuel replies. "I'm recognizing impact." Another silence. This one feels different, less combative, more reflective. Whoopi looks down at the table for a moment, her fingers tracing an invisible line in the wood. When she looks back up, her voice is steadier, lower. She says, "People expect us to be perfect, to have the right answer every time." Samuel nods. "I know. And that expectation is killing real conversation." She looks at him closely now, really seeing him. "So why do it like this? Why here?" "Because this is where it matters," he says. "Because this is where people are watching. And because pretending everything's fine on camera doesn't make it fine off camera." The audience quiets, hanging on every word. Even the co-hosts stop shifting. It's as if the room itself is holding its breath. Whoopi leans back, eyes narrowing slightly, not in anger but in thought. "You're forcing a mirror on us." Samuel offers a small, sad smile. "I've been looking at that mirror my whole life." The band's cue light flickers on, signaling a break. No one moves. The director hesitates, then cuts the music signal. "Not yet." Whoopi glances toward the camera, then back at Samuel. "This conversation isn't over," she says. Samuel nods slowly. "I know." The audience applauds again, softer now, more uncertain. They can feel it. The line has been crossed, and there's no going back. This isn't just a clash of opinions anymore. It's a reckoning unfolding in real time. As the cameras finally pull back, as the show inches toward a break it never planned for, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Whatever happens next, whatever words come after this, the fallout will reach far beyond this studio. And the most explosive moment is still coming. The return from commercial is anything but calm. The applause sign lights up, demanding energy, but the clapping feels hesitant, uneven, like the audience isn't sure what they're applauding anymore. The music fades too quickly, as if even the band senses this isn't a moment for cheer. Samuel L. Jackson sits exactly where he was, posture steady, expression unreadable. Whoopi Goldberg turns back toward the table, her face composed, but something has shifted behind her eyes. This is no longer a host guiding a segment. This is a woman standing her ground. The camera light blinks red. Whoopi breaks the silence first. "We're back," she says, voice measured. And clearly, this conversation struck a nerve. A nervous laugh ripples through the audience, quickly dying out. No one is relaxed now. This feels like the calm before another strike. Samuel inclines his head slightly. That usually means it was necessary. Whoopi exhales through her nose. Or reckless. He doesn't flinch. Those two get confused a lot. One of the co-hosts clears her throat. "Maybe we should reset." "Sam, can you explain what specifically you feel is being avoided?" "Not in theory, in practice." Samuel turns to her, grateful but unwavering. "In practice, we celebrate voices when they fit a narrative. We question them when they challenge it. And when someone refuses to soften their truth, we label them a problem." Whoopi interjects, sharper now. "You're talking like this is intentional. Like there's some grand plan." Samuel's gaze returns to her. Intent doesn't erase pattern. The audience murmurs again. A man near the aisle whispers, "He's not wrong." Another shakes her head, whispering back, "He's going too far." Whoopi leans forward, hands flat on the table. "Let me be clear. This show has given space to voices that were ignored everywhere else. And I respect that," Samuel replies. "But respect doesn't cancel responsibility." Her eyes narrow. "You keep saying responsibility like it's a weapon." "No," he says calmly. "It's a mirror." The word hangs there, reflective and unforgiving. Whoopi sits back slowly, crossing one leg over the other. People think this job is easy. They think sitting here means power." Samuel nods. "Visibility is power, whether you want it or not." The audience reacts audibly to that. Soft gasps, nods, a few scattered claps. The co-hosts glance at each other, realizing this conversation has surpassed them. Whoopi's voice tightens. "So what would you have us do? Burn it all down on live TV?" Samuel's lips twitch, not quite a smile. "No." I'd have you stop pretending the fire isn't already there. That lands hard. The studio feels warmer somehow, like the lights have turned up. Whoopi opens her mouth, then stops. She looks away for a second, collecting herself. When she looks back, her tone is changed. You think I haven't been punished for speaking? She asks quietly. You think I haven't paid a price? Samuel's voice softens, but it doesn't retreat. I know you have. And that's why people listen when you speak. That's why silence from you feels louder. The audience goes still. This is the heart of it now. No slogans. No sound bites. Just truth cutting close to bone. Whoopi swallows. You're asking me to carry everyone's fight. I'm asking you not to put it down, he answers. A woman in the front row starts clapping slowly. Others join in, hesitant at first, then stronger. Whoopi raises a hand, stopping them. Her eyes glisten just a little, though she blinks it away quickly. You know what people don't see, she says. The calls, the pressure, the threats, the lines you're told not to cross if you want to keep your seat. Samuel nods. I know. I've been told to sit down my whole career. Then why keep pushing? She asks, almost pleading now. Because sitting down never saved anyone, he replies. The applause this time is loud, sustained, emotional. A co-host wipes at her cheek. Another stares at the table, jaw clenched. The producers are no longer trying to stop this. They're letting it run, knowing they've lost control, and gained something else entirely. Whoopi waits for the noise to die down. When she speaks again, her voice is lower, more personal. You're right about one thing. Comfort can be dangerous. Samuel watches her closely. It usually is. She nods slowly. But discomfort can be destructive too. That's why it has to be honest, he says. The audience quiets again, hanging on the exchange like it's a tightrope walk. One wrong word could send it crashing down. Whoopi leans back, studying him. You came in hot today. Samuel allows a small smile. I came in tired. That earns a ripple of laughter, brief, relieved, human. The tension cracks just enough to let something real breathe. Whoopi sighs. You know this is going to blow up, right? Samuel shrugs. It already has. She glances toward the camera, then back to him. People are going to pick sides. They always do, he says. I just hope they pick truth. Another pause. This one feels less like a standoff and more like an understanding forming under pressure. Whoopi nods once. I don't agree with everything you said. I wouldn't trust you if you did, Samuel replies. The audience laughs again, warmer this time, though the weight hasn't lifted. It's changed shape, not disappeared. Whoopi straightens, slipping back into her role, partially. We're almost out of time. Samuel raises an eyebrow. Funny how that happens. She smirks despite herself. Yeah, funny. The applause sign lights up again, but no one looks at it. The energy in the room is raw, unsettled, electric. Everyone can feel it. This conversation has crossed into something bigger than the show, bigger than either of them. As the cameras hold on their faces, as the studio hums with anticipation, one truth is undeniable. This wasn't just a clash. It was a collision. And the impact is about to echo far beyond this stage, into headlines, timelines, and living rooms everywhere. The show ends without a clean ending. There's applause, yes, but it's fractured, uneven, charged with emotion rather than celebration. When the cameras finally cut, the studio doesn't immediately exhale. People stay seated, whispering, staring at the table where it all happened, as if the words are still hovering in the air. Samuel L. Jackson stands slowly, adjusting his jacket once more. Whoopi Goldberg remains seated for a beat longer than usual, her gaze fixed on the table, thoughtful, heavy. Off camera, producers rush in, voices low but urgent. A publicist leans toward Samuel, whispering something he barely acknowledges. He nods politely, but his eyes are elsewhere, on the audience, on the staff, on the faces processing what they just witnessed. This wasn't a segment. It was a rupture. Whoopi finally rises. As she stands, Samuel turns toward her. For a brief moment, there's silence between them again, but this time it's different. No tension. No challenge. Just recognition. You didn't make this easy, she says quietly. He meets her eyes. Wasn't trying to. She nods once. I know. They shake hands, not for the cameras, not for applause, but because something necessary has been exchanged. The audience sees it and reacts instinctively, soft clapping, respectful, almost reverent. Backstage, the fallout begins instantly. Phones light up. Assistants scroll furiously. A producer mutters, "We're trending." Another says, "Everywhere." Clips are already circulating, cut into sharp, combustible sound bites. Headlines write themselves in real time. Samuel L. Jackson explodes on The View. Whoopi Goldberg faces on-air challenge. Unscripted moment leaves audience stunned. On social media, the divide is immediate and fierce. One side hails Samuel as fearless, calling his words long overdue. He said what everyone's been afraid to say. That wasn't disrespect, that was truth. The other side accuses him of hijacking the platform, of disrespecting a host who's earned her seat. There's a time and place. That wasn't dialogue, that was an ambush. Clips loop endlessly, his calm intensity, her measured resistance, the moments where their voices softened and sharpened again. Memes appear within minutes. Long threads dissect every sentence. Commentators argue late into the night, replaying the exchange frame by frame like a courtroom drama. Inside the studio, Whoopi retreats to her dressing room. She closes the door and finally lets the weight settle. She removes her glasses, rubs her temples. This wasn't how the day was supposed to go. But deep down, she knows something else too. The conversation, however uncomfortable, was real. And real conversations leave bruises. Samuel, meanwhile, steps outside into the afternoon air. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. Sam, do you regret it? Was this planned? Are you apologizing? He pauses, just once, turning slightly toward the noise. I said what I meant, he replies calmly. And I meant what I said. Then he gets into the car, door closing softly behind him. That night, the clip dominates every screen. Living rooms fall quiet as families watch the exchange unfold. Some rewind. Some argue. Some sit in silence afterward, unsettled but awake. That's the part no one can quantify. The conversations sparked off camera, off platform, in places where no one is performing anymore. The next morning, headlines multiply. Opinion pieces clash. Morning radio debates whether this was courage or chaos. Late-night hosts joke nervously, knowing the subject cuts close. Even those who weren't watching now feel like they missed something important. Whoopi opens the next day's show with a measured tone. Yesterday, she says, we had a conversation that made a lot of people uncomfortable. She pauses. That doesn't mean it shouldn't have happened. The audience applauds, this time with understanding. Samuel doesn't comment further. He doesn't need to. The moment speaks for itself now, living its own life online, detached from intention, fueled by interpretation. That's the cost of honesty in public. It no longer belongs to you once it's released. But one thing is undeniable. For a few electric minutes on live television, the script was torn up. The safety net vanished. And two powerful voices collided without filters, without rehearsed apologies, without easy answers. And that's why people are still talking. Because it wasn't about a movie. It wasn't about a show. It was about who gets to speak, and what happens when they refuse to soften the truth. Now it's your turn. Did Samuel L. Jackson go too far? Or did he say what needed to be said? Was Whoopi Goldberg defending the platform, or confronting something deeper? Drop your opinion in the comments below. This conversation doesn't end when the camera's cut. And if you want more raw, explosive cinematic stories that pull you inside moments the world can't stop talking about, subscribe to The Truth Narrator right now. Like this video, share it with someone who loves real, unfiltered drama. And stay with us, because the next story is already waiting to be told.